Today's lesson is actually one of the most important things you're going to learn in math class this semester. Knowing how to calculate the mean, median, mode, and range of a list of numbers will be something that you'll continue to use not only in future years of math class, but in science, in economics, in other classes, and also real life. So let's talk about what these four terms mean. The word mean in mathematics is really just a fancy word for the average of a list. Mathematically, how you calculate the average of a list is by adding all the data points and then dividing by the number of pieces of data. The median is the middle number of the data when it's arranged in numerical order, from least to greatest. If there are two middle numbers, then you have to take the average of them, and the average would be the median. The mode is the number that appears the most often. And range really just means the difference between the largest and the smallest numbers in your list. Next, we're going to talk through how to calculate the mean, median, and mode for this set of data points. First off, you're going to want to reorder your list so the numbers go in order from least to greatest. So see if you can figure out what the smallest number in our list is. If you said 17, well done. So that would be the first number we'd write. Now you could cross off 17 on the list and look for the next smallest number. Actually, there's two of them. There's two 18s. So those two 18s would go next in your list. And you could cross those 18s out and see what's now the next least number in your list that's left. Out of the four numbers left, 19, 21, 22, and 46, the smallest is 19. The next smallest is 21, and then 22, and then 46. So crossing them out as you go is a good way to keep track of which numbers you've already reordered and which you still need to add to your list. So I recommend doing that. Also, it's really easy to accidentally skip a number when you're rewriting it in proper order. So a good thing to do to double check that you didn't skip one is to count the numbers in your list. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers, and make sure that's the exact same numbers as you had in your original list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, still 7. We didn't miss any. So step 1 is always to reorder your list from least to greatest. Step 2 is calculating the mean. Remember, the word mean really just means average. There's two steps to calculating the average. Step 1 is to add up all the numbers in your list. 17 plus 18 plus 18 plus 19 plus 21 plus 22 plus 46. Heads up, this is one of the few lessons where it's okay to use a calculator and to not rely on mental math, because some of these lists for adding get very long. So I'd recommend taking your calculator out and using that for the rest of the notes. So step 1 was to add up everything in your list. Step 2 is to divide that number by the number of things in your list that you added up. So we added up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things from our list. So that's what we divide the total from the adding by. So whatever you get from the adding all the numbers, you divide by the number of things you added up. 23 is our mean, our average. Now average essentially means a number that's very central to your list. 23 is right around the middle of the range from 17 to 46. Now, median, that means middle number once your numbers are ordered from least to greatest like we have here. For calculating the median, we really needed to have the numbers in the proper order. Because to figure out what numbers is in the middle, we're going to first cross out one number from each edge of the list. And then keep narrowing it down to the middle. Cross out one more number from each edge of the list. And then cross out one more number from the edge of each list. So we've narrowed it down to the exact middle number. That's our median, 19. Now, mode means the most popular number, the number that repeats the most in your list. So if you look at your ordered list, the only number that repeats more than once is 18. That's your mode, the most repeated number. Now, to calculate the range, you just take the smallest number and the last number and subtract larger minus smaller. Now, notice how they're pretty easy to hunt down now that you've reordered your list because larger numbers last and smallest numbers first. So you do 46 minus 17. The range for your data set is 29. That's the distance between the smallest and the largest number if you had put them on a number line. So that's the process we're going to practice in today's notes, calculating the mean, median, mode, and range for different types of data points. Here, our list of data has a lot of decimals. So step 1 for the mean. Oh, before you calculate mean, I almost forgot, we have to reorder our numbers. So see if you could hunt down the smallest number in the list and then circle it. If you said the smallest number was 0.4, well done. There's actually two 0.4s in the list, so both of them will go first in your list. Now see if you could figure out what the next smallest number is and write that down next. If you said 0.6, well done. And then 0.8 would go after that. Notice how all our smallest numbers in this case were the ones that had 0 in the ones place. Because if it's 0 in the one place, it's definitely smaller than, say, a number that has 1 in the ones place or 4 in the ones place. All right, now finish up your list. What would be the next smallest? Find something that has 1 in the ones place and so on. So it should be 1.2 and then 1.5. And then lastly, 4.9 and then 6.7. Now I want you to pause here on the video and see if you could calculate the mean yourself. Take your calculator, add up all those numbers, and then divide by the number of things you added up. When you add up all the numbers, you should get 16.5. And if you count the number of items in your list, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. So that's what you divide by. So your mean, your average, is actually a pretty run-on decimal, 2.0625. Oh, one tip, especially while you're getting used to this, it might not hurt under each title to summarize what each word means. Quick reminder, mean means average, median means middle number in the list, mode means the most common number, and range is largest minus smallest. All right, so median is the middle number. To calculate that, you're going to narrow down your list until you get to the exact center of it. So cross out one number from each edge of your list, and then one more number from the edge of each list, and then one more number from the edge of each list. Oh no, there's two middle numbers. So this is a special case. Anytime you have an even number of items in your list, like for example 8 numbers in your list, you're going to have two middle numbers instead of one. So to calculate the median, you actually take those two middle numbers and you average them out, kind of like what you did with the mean, except with just the two middle numbers. So to average them out, you take the two middle numbers, 0.8 and 1.2, and you add them up. And then because you only added two numbers, that's what you divide by. You'll notice how sometimes you'll see average calculations done like this, adding and then dividing. Sometimes you'll see it instead written all out at once, adding up and then dividing with a fraction bar symbol instead. It means the same thing. So you still have to add up the two numbers you want to average out first. 0.8 plus 1.2 is really 2.0, or just 2. Now you could divide by the number of things you added up, which was 2. You get that the median number is 1, which makes sense because if you think about it, 1.0 would be exactly in the middle of 0.8 and 1.2, kind of like how 10 is in the middle of 8 and 12. Now, mode means the most common number, the number that repeats the most. Take a moment to see if you could figure out the mode of our list and then write it down. If you said 0.4, well done. And lastly, range is the distance between your largest and smallest numbers in your list. So just take 6.7 and minus 0.4. You get that the range of your list is 6.3. Okay, so sometimes instead of having your list written out, they'll give you your list of data points in chart form, like this. So what this really means is that the first number in your list is 81 because there's one X in the 81 column. And then next in your list you'd have two 82s because there's two X's in the 82 column. And then three 83s, and so on. Go ahead and finish the list on your own. Your list should look like this. Check that you have all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 numbers. Since that's how many X's are in the original picture, then you know you didn't miss any. All right, so what you're going to do now that you've had it written out in list format, you're going to notice that in some ways, starting with a chart makes it easier because if you start with a chart like this, it's pre-ordered. It's already ordered from least to greatest, which is wonderful. It means you could jump straight into calculating the mean, median, mode, and range. Pause the video until you're done. Go ahead and check all your answers. For the mean, you'd add them all up in your calculator, which will take a little bit of time, and you should get 1,176. Then you take that total and you divide by the number of numbers in your list. There are 14 numbers, so that's what you divide by. You get that the mean is 84. For the median, you cross out one number from each edge of your list until you get to the middle, but there's two middle numbers. So you have to average them out, which is really the same process as finding the mean. You add the two numbers left, and because you added two numbers, that's what you divide by, 2. The median is also 84. This is pretty rare when the median and median are the same number, but it does happen sometimes. Now, the mode was actually a trick question because if you look at your list, see how there are 383s and also 385s, so there is a tie for which number was repeated the most? Whenever there's a tie, no one wins, so you'd write none by mode. You'll see 1 or 2 homework questions where that happens, where mode will be none. And lastly, range. If you take your largest number, 87, and you minus your smallest number on the list, 81, you get that the range is 6. Great job today, everybody. Don't forget to turn in a picture of your notes on Schoology when you're done.